What's up, water cooler? I'm Tristan Linville, joined by one of my very best friends, my co-host, Michael Callahan, where manufacturing and technology, it's really always been cool, but we're just singing its praises. So
Amen.
It's a great day for episode 16. Don't you think so, Michael?
I do. I would come up with a little bit more excitement, but I'm sitting in the airport, so I don't want my friends to the left and right of me to think, what is this guy doing?
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, it's already happening. So let's have some fun.
Yeah, well, you're sitting in a lounge. I got a joke for that, kinda.
Yeah.
I mean,
Do you like
limited
my painting?
space.
You like this
Yeah.
painting? I did it.
You did. I'm proud
Yeah,
of you.
it looks like I did it. What's your joke? Let's hear it.
Yeah, so this gentleman, he's claustrophobic, and he went to the doctor, and you know what the doctor told him?
I don't.
Man, I think you just need a little bit of space.
That's good. I'm gonna keep that one. That's
Yeah.
definitely me too, by the way.
You know,
I
I actually may have just butchered that.
Hey.
Did I even say an astronaut there? I think I was supposed to say a claustrophobic astronaut.
Oh, there. Yeah, you know what? Well, try it again. Go.
No.
You know, that's a good joke. I like it. I have this fear. I am claustrophobic.
Yeah.
But I think it's because I've been stuck in an elevator more than twice. I have bad luck. Don't get in the elevator with me.
Yeah, pass on
So,
that.
Yeah, well, it's a way to make me take the stairs.
Well, Michael, who do we got joining us today?
Tristan, we got a special guest, and he is more than special. His name is Mitchell Chi.
Wow, what an entrance.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know how special I am, but
Special.
welcome everyone. Welcome. I work with you guys nonstop, maybe too much, but
yeah,
I'm honored to be here. I hope we have a good discussion here, and I add some value to the viewers and both of you.
You're
so I'm ready to go.
All right, Mitch, give us a high level of your company, SNS, your team, and what you all do.
Great. So I need to think. You know, when you work at a company, you kind of forget the high level, right? Yeah, SNS. That's it. So we're a global supply chain consultancy, but we're very different. We specialize in warehouse optimization and transformations only. So we don't do ERP. We don't do the hundreds of other enterprise solutions that are out there. But what we do since 2005, we've implemented over 350 Infor WMS solutions, software, across multiple industries. Yeah, where accurate sales commitments to final delivery of a product is critical to their business, right? So we don't call on law firms because they don't really have a product. Sorry, lawyers that are out there. They don't really take sales orders. But we really specialize in a very discrete piece, sales order to delivery to the customer. And when you think about that journey, right, you've got a salesperson that's on there, gets a call from one of their customers and says, how many do you have in stock? I need them rushed tomorrow. What do you have? And if they go in there and say, I can get you 100 tomorrow by 10 a.m., that's a commitment. Mm-hmm. And when they make that commitment, that order needs to be fulfilled, and that delivery needs to be off the shipping dock in a matter of hours. Make sense?
Efficiently. Yeah, absolutely.
Efficiently. And that whole business value is the core of our DNA. We are very focused on optimizing, transforming, and accelerating the processes within sales order to customer satisfaction, right? Mm. So to that end, we're proud of a 98.6% implementation success rate, and that's real. A lot of companies kind of make that up and they don't get called on it. I will tell you, I've been here 4 years. That is absolutely real. Michael, you know, you work with us, and Tristan, you know, you've worked with us, but the critical part of references, we have every reference that we serve up has had delightful experience with Enforce software. We have 125 long-term advisory clients. We'll get into that later. And we're supporting and training over 5,000 WMS end users right now in how to use new features that come down from Infor. Very powerful solution, as you know, it's cloud-based. So those features are constantly peppered out, and end users want to know how to take advantage of it. So that's basically what we do. And we do that globally, by the way.
I love it. Warehousing is often probably the one area of business that doesn't get enough attention, in my opinion, because warehouse touches every single order. And at my last company, warehousing would always have the broken promise, or we would always call it a broken promise. We misshipped something or we didn't get it out on time. And it was always this major focus. And it was like, guys, we're literally touching every single order. Like, yes, we're going to have more problems than anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't agree with you more. And look, I come from the ERP space, right? So I tend to tell our clients, we call them clients on our end, you call them customers or accounts on your end, but I tend to tell clients that, if an ERP system goes down, the worst thing that could happen, you've got enough backup systems. You can get your invoices out manually. You can take sales orders on pads, right? You can look at your bank balance. The business will still run as the ERP goes down, right?
Sure.
And some people think it's mission critical, other people don't. I don't want to get into that debate here, but I will tell you this, Michael, to your point. If warehousing goes down, you're out of business for 12 hours, 24 hours, or as we've seen in Hershey's case, chocolate maker, when that warehouse system went down, they were out of business for 30 days right before the holiday season.
Oof.
Right? So they missed their earnings. I think most of the executives got new jobs somewhere else. But, warehousing is critical. And of course, both of you know how critical that is in the enterprise, right? So.
Yeah. And I mean, coming from the shop floor and working final assembly, those were my favorite people, was the people in the warehouse, because without the parts, you don't build anything. And if it sits on the dock too long, then your schedule's late. So it's so critical, so important. Well, that's a good entryway and segue kind of towards the implementation side of what you guys have accomplished over the years at SNS. But this is really about an article that I read that you wrote recently. It's called the J-Curve White Paper. Kind of challenged the traditional model of like building and delivering technology requirements. So I wanted to get your thoughts on why the traditional way of requirements building in a technology evaluation kind of provides too much latitude for that interpretation of the business and its processes.
I know I sound like a robot. I apologize. It's my fault.
A little digital there, but we can hear you.
Talk about requirements building as well. What is it?
Yeah. So can I step back for 1 minute?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we look at the dawn of enterprise software, right? Before you guys were born, but definitely when I was, with all the gray hair, right? So if you look at enterprise software back in the old days, implementations were led by technologists. Right. They were programmers and business analysts. And the business analysts paid with really the leap and connection between the shop floor, as you say, Tristan, and the technologists. Here was the problem with that. As you know, it's a dangerous approach.
Yeah.
As each requirement was not gathered with direct observations of people doing their job. So they sat in a room and they said, Tristan, tell me your day. What do you do, Tristan? And you tell me, and I write it down. And you need accurate sales orders, and Tristan's, telling me everything else. But what I don't know is that when I go out to your cubicle, or in your case, your big corner office, right? Go out to your office, and I find that there's another computer on your credenza. I find that there's Post-it notes all over your office.
Yeah.
And then I find out you have 4 phones on your office desk because you're constantly getting bombarded with issues, right?
Sure.
So flip that, right? You cannot gather business requirements in a vacuum. When you do that, you end up with some very interesting symptoms that happen as the software is implemented. So here's a symptom. If the gathering of the traditional gathering of the requirements was done somewhat in a vacuum without going out and see Tristan make the iPhone, right?
Right.
You're 6 years old, Tristan. You're a senior assembler, right? You're making the iPhone. But then I see all the Post-its, and I see the way you work, and I see all the side things that you manage to do your job faster, better, and more efficiently, right? We've lost the beauty of what you do. And I'm not just saying you, but that department, right? Yeah. So that results in missed deadlines, unplanned change orders. I've got to tell you, and Michael, you come from the implementation side, so you get this. When you give somebody an implementation quote, we happen to only do fixed price, but that's aside. But when you give somebody an implementation quote, what does the customer do automatically? They add 20% because they know they're going to get hit with change orders, right?
Right.
So, and then the most important piece of a different way to gather requirements is a symptom is that you end up with low user adoption and low satisfaction on a very big investment. So here's an example. Yeah. You guys are out there developing and gathering requirements for a new Amazon website, right?
Yeah.
You didn't come out and see the way I buy things. You didn't see my wife, like, what are you buying and how you showing it and all that, because you didn't observe how I buy.
Sure.
And you didn't observe the journey of where I'm clicking. And all of a sudden you shut down that website, and tomorrow there's a brand new website, online website for Amazon. And I'm looking at it and I go, wait a minute, right? Wait a minute. Where did all these changes come from? I like the old one. I've got 100 Post-its here, but I don't know what's happening here. I don't want to use the software. The number one reason software fails, number one, is that the users don't adopt it.
Yeah.
And I think we can all kind of have a shake of the head, is that if your end user doesn't embrace the technology and the solution, it's going to fail. And it's no responsibility or reflection on the software company or a reflection on the implementer. So,
sure.
And then the last thing, this is more for you, Michael, that I jotted down here, is that, you get in and during that journey, you have to demo software, and you're demoing software on requirements that were gathered in a vacuum. And now you're demoing software to the end users. And poor Michael's sitting there going, let me show you how I create a sales order so I can commit my inventory, right? I commit my inventory. And I'm looking at it going, there's 30 steps. Wait, what are we doing? And you've got to demo that, Michael. You've done this spectacularly your whole career just about, but you have to demo that. And I'm sitting there looking at this. My first instinct is to tune out. I've seen enough. I'm not doing 30 steps. You don't know all my Post-its. I'll just sit here and watch you demo.
Yeah, you lose them.
That's flawed.
I think Microsoft Teams could take some advice from you.
Maybe. So anyway, I don't want to ramble. So I put on my notes here just so the audience will appreciate it. I said, Mitch, don't ramble. And I put 5 minutes. And if you guys see my desk from my standpoint, I've got a clock behind my other screen. I got a 75-inch monitor that has both your great faces.
Do you have Post-it notes?
But I think I blew it there, so cut me off.
I love it. Michael, I think you got the next question, my friend.
I'll let you ask it because
All right, robot man. So another risk area, you spoke of the technologists, right? And kind of like not only requirements capture in a vacuum, but on the technologist side, sometimes I think they kind of work in a vacuum where they build out functionality of what they think is applicable to business without going and actually doing their due diligence or research. And they kind of like, maybe sometimes throwing a dart in the dark, and then they roll it out and they go demo this, and it leads to heavy customizations down the road because they weren't kind of in tune with the actual business and their processes. So I think you introduced in your article a design-based approach to requirements gathering and design, and I wanted you to take the audience through that as well.
5 minutes, right?
Sure.
All right.
I'll give you 5.5.
Both of you go like this when I get up to 35 minutes. Be sure you're doing okay. So let's back up a little bit. And I don't want to promote SNS because other companies do this. So don't feel that this is unique to us. But when we come into a new Infor WMS customer, and we're honored to be selected for the implementation, we do 3 things before we even start programming, even before we start developing, before we even get technologists involved. Here are the 4 things. We do a kickoff of what the end results are, and we want to hear them so that they're not scared of our end result is to make your life easier.
Right.
That's the end result. And then the second part of that's typically an intro, little bit of a workshop. The second part of that's very different. And this is the different approach to design-based implementations, right? The second part is we want to train them on the software features and functions before they've even seen it. Why do we do that? Usually you do that after it's all built out, right?
Right. Yeah.
So we want to do a training, and the training isn't weeks. The training is a treetop. We'll take them through, let's stay on the sales order, right? We'll have the salespeople in there, and we'll take them through, hey, look at this. You can do delivery to promise. It's right in the upper right-hand corner. We're going to train you how to do that. And right below that, there's a feature that allows you to chat with your customer.
Okay.
Wow. And there's a feature in there that allows you to chat with the shipping manager. And all of a sudden they're looking at it. So we do an education, right?
Yeah.
Education that is overused soundbite is out of the box. If I hear that anymore, I strangle people, right? Out of the box. Okay. My wife thinks I sell Quicken software. So she tells all her friends, like, what does your husband do? He sells software. What type of software? Like Quicken. So now I meet their friends and they go, how is it working in Staples?
Yeah. Can you help me budget?
What? But from that standpoint, and I make a joke of that, but from that standpoint, education is important because if you're going to drive a brand new car, before I allow you to take it out on the road, I want to tell you that to turn the ignition is on the left side of the steering wheel,
right, and
not on the right side. I'm referring to a Porsche, right?
Yeah,
it's on the left side for the audience that gets it. But I want to get you familiar with the car. I want to train you on the car. I don't want you to hop in there and just drive off. You're going to hit a telephone pole, right?
Sure.
So that education is important. This is how design thinking is different. And design thinking is actually a discipline and a degree. So I've got Wharton Business School down the street here, and you graduate with a design thinking degree in technology.
It's cool.
So this is not anything that is Mitch made it up. So then let me get to the last piece, and I've got 7 minutes on this. I don't know how I'm running, but anyway, so you get to that approach, right? Now, what happens is from that gathering of requirements, typically that list is given of functional and technical resources to go build the house.
Right.
To go build the house. And they run off and they build the house, and they're doing checkpoints, and they're doing user acceptance testing, and they're doing a lot of things, and they're running the clock. So every hour that project was touched costs money.
Yep.
Every hour is part of the commitment you made to the customer to deliver it on this date, right?
Right.
So design is what S&S is all about. We have clients, Infor customers that feel they can do the development and the execution themselves, and we're fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
But we do the design, and that's great. And we do the design in an 80 to 200 page document that becomes the user manual to the software, and they sign off on it. It's typically workshops, it's interviews, it's contextual observation, but we build out a design, right? It's a blueprint. And then the client signs off on it. Every single page signs off, discuss it. We even show it in the software, we map it out. But at that point, that's the blueprint, and the house is now constructed.
Right.
So that's a design approach, right? And I tend to tell people, if you equate that to a home, I happen to be disabled and I'm in a wheelchair, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not, but there are people that are. And I'm building a home, and then I move into my home, and all the light switches are 41 inches from the floor.
Yeah.
And the cabinets and the counters are 37 inches.
Right.
It's like, guys, you never even talked to me. I can't use this house. I don't know what I'm doing here. So anyway.
That's a great point. I mean, it really drives back to kind of what you said of why these things fail sometimes or most of the time is user adoption, right? And so if it's not built for the user, then how do you expect the user to adopt? And if it's not, so sounds like that's the main premise of it.
I think it's also expectation versus reality.
Yeah.
And making sure we approach it with the right expectations. Robots.
I just read robots. Yeah, we'll all do the robot dance. So just as an add-on before you go to your next topic, is that from that standpoint, if you look at software over my career, which is like 83 years, there's a 71% failure rate on IT projects, and this is a recent study. You can put it up on a link here if you want. 71% fail, and then they talk about that failure rate. Can you imagine the money and the time and the investment and the missed ROI?
Yeah,
on a design that was wrong.
Yeah.
So 71% of the time fails. 31% of the time, is that the math right? No, it's not. So 29% of the time, the project's successful. S&S runs very proud of a 98.6% success rate. And I actually had prospects ask, well, what happened to the 1.4% that failed?
Sure.
Whole nother webcast, right? So.
Well, I think you kind of touched on where I wanted to go next anyways, was ROI and companies and businesses still, despite say that 29% success rate, like technology projects are still happening daily, right? Yearly, quarterly. And And so they have these desired outcomes for their business to achieve greater efficiencies, really measure this ROI and get to that kind of goal that they're trying to reach. So, what needs to happen throughout the life of a project to ensure that these businesses and these vendors and these implementers stay on track so that all goals are kind of hit to achieve that J curve of success you talk about in your article?
Yeah, excellent question, Tristan. Thank you. I'm a former CFO of a company called Garanimals.
Okay.
For those of you that have kids, that enabled little kids to pick their own shirt and pick their own pants so they don't look like a golfer, right?
Nice.
So they don't have a yellow shirt that's striped and plaid pants, right? So you had elephant tops and elephant bottoms. It was fun. I still have that in my closet here. My wife goes, here's an elephant top, match it with an elephant bottom. But the reason I tell you that is that an investment will never be made by a company without a return on investment and an EBITDA calculation of the cash saved in the first year.
Mm.
That's really the checkbook. So when you talk about ROI targets, we have a project that starts here. I don't have it necessarily. And right off the bat, you're consuming cash, right? So the J, picture a J. The J dips below the cash axis. You're burning cash, burning cash. The project goes live right when the J crosses the cash line. So now you're starting to get a return, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now there's a tail that gets you to your ROI.
Yeah.
Right? There's a tail. Every day, Michael's out there, the robot, and he's going, hey, you worked 4 minutes on that yesterday. What'd you do today? I did 3 minutes. Great. All right. That's ROI. ROI. Here's the problem with that. If you launched a rocket, to hit your target in 9 months or a year, and there were changes and design wasn't right, once that rocket leaves the launch pad, think how hard it is to change the trajectory, right? This isn't just 1 degree on the launch pad. This rocket now is going full bore, consuming cash, consuming your employees' time, right, to test it and all that. It's very, very flawed. So I am a big proponent of the fact that tail that's shooting for the ROI. Imagine if you could move the ROI tail in by 10%. You're going to get that ROI faster,
right,
than what you expected. And as all of us know, if you can beat expectations, that's critical. If that tail lags and misses that target, you're burning cash now. And that cash you're going to burn is starting to erode the return you already received on the tail when it started to get up. Does that make sense? I'm trying to do it with my hands here. It's not a great way to do it. But anyway, did I answer your question?
You did.
Okay. I had 5 minutes on here. I'm sure I spent 10.
And I think, some of the takeaways that kind of go with really achieving that J curve, right, is collaboration and communication, right, between the vendor, between the business, between the implementer. Like, my experience is that if you go in with a nice, transparent team approach, because we're all in this together, then you're more likely to have those instances that kind of throw off your J curve and tilt it a wrong way, right? So just one observation from me.
I hopefully this may be a little bit better. If not, then I'll still be a robot.
No, it's good.
It's my AirPods then. Sorry. But I think one thing that's really important to think about is also, we talked expectations, and it's making sure that the business understands the business value, the business benefits, setting those expectations right up front and helping them see where that's going to be so that you can meet them. or you don't meet them, and you have conversations around why. So I think it's a really expectation setting around business benefits that really helps drive that forward.
Yeah, well said. Totally agree. Totally agree.
I love it. Well, Mitch, probably the hardest question of the day. What is one book or movie that profoundly changed your perspective?
So do you want the funny answer or do you want the serious answer?
Both.
That gave your career a J curve.
Okay, great. I love it. So, so the funny answer is Tommy Boy.
Oh, yeah.
That's a movie I absolutely love. I feel and I identify with Tommy, right? and I feel that that's a different way of thinking, right?
Yeah.
And Infor is very big on think different. I stole that from Apple, but think different, right? And Tommy definitely thought different. My favorite scene in there is the coat. Fat man in a little jacket and he rips the coat apart. So that's the funny answer.
Okay.
The serious answer of the book that I refer to every day is Blink. So Blink is a book that talks about happenings, coincidences that you've never would imagine in your life. And here's an example of a coincidence, and it's in a book. But you're standing online and the guy behind you kind of looks like you, but he's your lost brother from 30 years ago.
Yeah.
How the hell did that happen? Right?
Yeah.
In a blink of the eye, you've got that connection. So that's had a profound impact on me, and it's a good reading. And
Nice.
yeah, it's not a movie.
That's okay. Books still exist for those viewers out there. We don't have to TikTok and Instagram and watch this podcast. We can actually still read stuff.
Crazy, right? Crazy.
What a concept. So, well, Mitch, we appreciate you coming on today, man. We always enjoy our conversation. I always get a great laugh when I talk to you. So that's much appreciated in itself. So as always, everyone out there, hope you have your H2O, drink it up. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, Mitch.
You're welcome, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.